they're not the best team, but that's the best season ever. I mean, it brings a tear to your eye. It's seriously one of the cutest things. What are we doing? After all that?
There to go.
Have good mosh pitting.
All right, have good sporting. A huge episode today. National championship in the books. The Indiana Hoosiers make history. First 16-0 team, first national championship for the Hoosiers. Curt Cignetti, is he the best coach in college football? Fernando Mendoza in Indiana, they're the best team since. Fill in the blank. We're going to get to it all. An unreal end to the college football season. Cannot take it for granted. Let's make sure we're recording. We are. Cannot take it for granted that we got a really good national championship. So many good storylines on both sides of the field. Indiana, obviously, that's a storybook ending for a storybook season. We've had a lot of not so good national championship games. This one was great. This one was great. First, before we break the game down, I want to throw a take out there that I've been, pontificating on. And I think that Indiana, for the betterment of college football, had to win this game. The implications this game had for the future of the sport, Indiana, we needed Indiana to win. And I'll tell you why. Lots of turmoil in the sport. The NIL, the transfer portal, expanding the college football playoff. I talked about this on a recent episode. You have the 1 seed versus the 10 seed. If Miami goes in there and wins as a 10 seed, I guarantee the college football playoff is going to be expanded quicker than it would be now. Like Indiana won, the 1 seed won, so we still all the people that want to at least keep it at 12. If you're in the expanded to 24 camp, I'm not sure I know what to tell you. But the number 1 seed Indiana team that ran through everybody, they win. They get it done. The number 1 seed wins. So at least for another year, we can say there may not be 12 teams every year capable of winning a title. And when you think of what college football means to the sport, like the regular season matters and tradition matters and the storylines matter. That's what draws the viewers in is you have someone to root for like Fernando Mendoza and his family. And then on the other side, you have a Carson Beck who fell out of love with football, which I think is not a good sign. I think if you're a NFL caliber quarterback ever falling out of love with football, I think being in love with the game is bare minimum to me. You have a guy that's not as likable as a Fernando Mendoza. You have a 10 seed Miami team that lost twice in the regular season and snuck into the playoffs. So if they go win it all, you're talking about, well, 2 bad losses in the regular season now doesn't matter anymore. You have a 10 seed winning, so now the college football playoff has even more reason to expand because now they believe that the number 10 team every year is capable. So we got to give, if the 10 team can win it all, maybe the 15 or the 20 team can win it all. So I think to hold on to a bit of storybook endings and traditions and week in, week out, grinding out a win in the regular season, it's good that Indiana won if you're in that camp. If you're in chaos camp, which is entertaining in its own right, I'm all about Miami. But hanging on to what little semblance of, no, the sport's great. I'm not going to go that far. I mean, college football is still epic. But I think Indiana winning this game is good for the direction of college football, right? Because it kind of it's in here, it's in your heart. And Indiana was in the hearts of a lot of people out there. Even though they were the number 1 seed, they weren't underdogs. But, I think Carson Beck and Miami being a 10 seed, those two things, I just don't know if I could have lived with that. And it's not because I have this Florida basketball national championship hat on. That's not the reason. but it might be. All right, let's break down this game because an epic game it was. Like I said, we take for granted that it was an entertaining game because sometimes the national championship not very entertaining. Last year Ohio State Notre Dame was closer than it seemed, but in years prior, like we had a Georgia TCU national championship in the four-team playoff. That's like the worst thing ever. If this was a really bad game, Indiana Miami, then you draw the season all the way out until was the 19th. You have a one seed playing a 10 seed and the one seed like steamrolls to a win. I think that would kind of be a bitter ending to the year, but I think Miami and Indiana made this about as spectacular as they could have. And I do think the season needs to shrink down a little bit because if you have a bad national championship, I'd rather it be played earlier in the year and let's get on with it than have, two or three different bye weeks in the college football playoff alone. And then on the last week of January, we're watching a terrible game and like one team super outmatched. So credit to Indiana and Miami for making this an absolute spectacle. My biggest takeaway from this game for Miami was, and I tweeted about it after like the first or second drive for Miami. I said, if you're going to be a one-trick pony in the passing game, if Malachi Toney is all you have, you're not going to win this game. Mark Fletcher played tremendous. I mean, he had ripped off a 57-yarder, but even outside of that, he was still fairly productive. And so you had the run game going. That is a huge thing that Miami needed if they were going to win this game. But you had to get people involved in the pass game other than Malachi Toney. I think Carson Beck had 19 completions and 10 of them were to Malachi Toney. CJ Daniels had four, and then he spread five or six or five guys had one catch. He couldn't get anything going outside of Malachi Toney. CJ Daniels made a couple good grabs, sure, but if you take away your two best receivers, you didn't get anything out of. There was no third guy, and I could show you a bunch of plays where Carson Beck sat there with tons of time to throw and can't find a guy. It's like if Malachi Toney wasn't making a dude miss, is they didn't have anything. And credit to Malachi Toney for being an absolute world beater. This guy's the second best receiver in college football behind Jeremiah Smith, and he's supposed to be in high school. This guy, he's 18. He's supposed to be a senior, and this guy goes for 10 and I mean I don't know how many yards he had, over 100 and a touchdown. Unreal. But we've seen football teams like it's like the Detroit Lions with Calvin Johnson. This guy might be the greatest ever, but he's the only thing you have. And you have Mark Fletcher. But I mean, think about the Miami offense that you've watched all year. If I said Mark Fletcher just ran it three straight times, he's out of the game. Malachi Toney for some reason his helmet came off and he's out. You're like, that's not that good of an offense without those two. And they're both really good. So like when they're both on the field, very good offense. But you're telling an Indiana defense they only really have to take away two threats. It was gonna be tough. It was an uphill battle for Miami to succeed on any play, on any pass play that didn't go to Malachi Toney. It just credit to Indiana for making him a one-trick pony and not letting anyone else get open. CJ Daniels, I mean, he did have a good game, but I think in the passing game, I don't think Miami was going to be able to do much else other than throw it to Malachi Toney. And I said that in the first half. I think I quote tweeted my own tweet two different times saying I felt like that was the case, and it was Miami being a one-trick pony in the passing game. But also credit to Indiana for making it that way. Because if you can't stop Malachi Toney, just stop everyone else. It's tough to beat a team with one guy. Um, and then Indiana just, I mean, Miami's offense outscored Indiana's offense. Did we forget about that? Miami scored 21 in the second half alone. Yeah, they scored three touchdowns in the second half. Indiana, outside of the special teams touchdown, scored 20 points. So, I mean, just like inspired, fundamental old school awesome football that was played by the Hoosiers to win a game where the other offense scored more than your offense. Fernando Mendoza with a Fernando bulldozer over a linebacker to kind of ice at the end of the game. That needs to be framed in every house in Indiana by law because that is the greatest play that I've ever seen in my life. But I mean, Indiana, if you the stats, the rushing yards were very similar. No one absolutely dominated on the ground. Neither offense dominated on the ground. Um, Neither offense dominated in the passing game. Like Indiana even had some bad penalties, but they just found that first down a few more times than Miami did. They were able to have a chunk play just a few more times than Miami was able to have a chunk play. I think about the two back shoulders to Becker, the Mendoza rollout left to either probably Surratt, to get a first down, the Mendoza touchdown run, like time and time again, under adversity, Indiana just found a way. This was a find a way football game, and Miami found a way. And then, I mean, I gave credit to Indiana when talking about Miami. I have to give credit to Miami when talking about Indiana. This was the toughest game that Indiana had to play. Ruben Bain and Mesidor weren't going to be stopped. The O line for Miami got real skinny, got close together. Wasn't Indiana wasn't able to have much pressure on Beck. Like I said, Carson Beck had time to throw. Both of these teams absolutely came to play. Indiana just finding that chunk play, that first down a few more times than Miami was able to, and then Carson Beck throws a pick late, which I didn't hate, but he did it in Indiana, wins the national championship. Now let's go back and react to. Now this is going to make editing this that much harder, but let's react to my prediction. Go ahead and go. I'm going to take Indiana minus 8.5. They're going to win this game 31-20, just a field goal or so over the over-under of this game of 48.5. I think Indiana is the best team in the nation, and I think they win it all. 31-20 gives me a little bit of breathing room to where like maybe it was 24-20 and Indiana ices it late, or it was just a blowout 11-point game that wasn't as close as it seems. All right, that was my prediction. I believe I said 31-20. There was a time there late where, I mean, Miami had 21, and I was like, I could be really, really good here. Because I say it was either a blowout and Miami scores late. It was like 31-17 or 31-13, and Miami scores a late one, and it wasn't as close as 31-20 seems, or Indiana goes down and scores late. I really wanted Indiana to score late just for my pick to be awesome, and then I could repost it in engagement form. But pretty happy with it. I think I kind of got it a little bit right. If Indiana scores a touchdown instead of a field goal at the end, that is almost a spot on how the game was going to go. I also bet, I think I said it was going to be a little bit over the over. I think the over under was 47.5. This game was 48. I had it at 51. So very, very close. Very, very close. The over wasn't looking great, but you had to know that special teams touchdown, that was a quick seven. Miami starts rolling offensively. Malachi Toney cannot say it enough that this kid is completely ridiculous. If you guys want to see an even more dominant version of Malachi Toney, go watch his high school tape and his high school film. It's it's mind-boggling that this guy wasn't recruited as the top guy coming out of high school because he was ridiculous. And I understand when you reclass or whatever, like he's a young guy, so I'm sure his age knocked him behind guys that were a little older. But dude, if it's on the field, if it's on the film, like look at this guy. Credit to Miami for keeping Malachi Toney in Miami. But yeah, Miami got rolling late. Indiana special teams touchdown. They score late, have some really big plays, like I said, to get first downs or chunk plays. And the over hits by a half a point. Overdogs. I'm always an overdog. All right, what's next? Prediction. I have react to prediction. Prediction. I don't know what my prediction is. Storybook season is next. Let's talk Fernando Mendoza. Is that not awesome? Him and his mom. I mean, credit to Fernando Mendoza's dad sitting down with his wife, Fernando Mendoza's mom, seeing her smile, so proud of her boys out there, both of her boys. Alberto Mendoza, the backup, obviously didn't contribute much on the field, but in Fernando Mendoza, the star player, but the Mendoza family. What talk about a takeover. Good for them. Um, yeah, Fernando Mendoza's mom has MS, multiple sclerosis. Um, so she can get up and watching Fernando Mendoza at the end of the game go down and hug his mom, you could tell it was almost like what has kept his mom in that chair for the last several years. Like was almost just gonna leave for a second and she was gonna give him a hug. It was the most, I mean, it brings a tear to your eye. It's one of the cutest things that I have seen in quite some time. And then Fernando Mendoza ruins it all by saying the F word on ESPN. Come on, dude. What are we doing? No, I'm just joking, but just the Indiana story. I mean, the not even the Fernando Mendoza, the Mendoza family story is crazy. The Indiana story is even crazier. I mean, people down here where I'm from in SEC country understand how bad Vanderbilt has been. They're always been a bottom feeder, and it's pretty cool that Vandy's really good. Indiana was even worse than Vanderbilt. Curt Cignetti comes in, and in 30 months or whatever it's been, in 40 games, he has taken Indiana from the worst college football program ever, like the worst. No one went to their games. No one cared. You couldn't name a single player on their team. And in 2 years, they are the undefeated national champions and maybe put together the best college football season that we've ever seen. That we've ever seen. 16 and 0. You can only play 17 games. They got that bye. And you're not, I mean, I'm assuming no one is going to be able to go 17 and 0 because if you're undefeated, you probably get the bye. Unless you're a five seed that has to play in the first round and you're 12 and 0, which would be maybe Big 12, but probably a group of five team that can't win at all. Indiana goes wire to wire 16 and 0, old football team, old football team, veteran. Everyone's 23. They're the age of an NFL team. If there's a gripe about it, that's what it is. And it's a rightfully so you can gripe about that because it's college football. It's not 6 year senior football. But literally from zero to hero, worst to first in 2 years. There's not. I don't even understand how it's like, are they cheating? I don't understand how it's even possible. It's ridiculous. And that leads me to my next question, which is Indiana is the best college football team since. Well, let's go. Indiana is the best college football story since what story? Indiana is the best college football team since you can't say they're not better than last year's Ohio State team because that team lost twice. Does this team beats 24 or 2023 Michigan? I mean, you're only going as far back to 2019 LSU. As much as the Hoosiers have been awesome this year, I think it's a little egregious to go any further past 2019 LSU in terms of Indiana being the best team since. COVID year was weird, but that Alabama team was dominant. That first Georgia team, they may not be better than the second Georgia National Championship. The first one, Indiana is the best national champion since 22 Georgia, maybe. As much, but they have the best season that we've ever seen. They're 16 and 0. went through the gauntlet to win it. They're not the best team, but that's the best season ever. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that they're better than 2019 LSU or even 2020 Alabama, maybe even as recent as 2022 Georgia or Michigan. I think they're better than last year's Ohio State, but that's the best season we've ever seen for my money. It's 16 to 0. Go find a team that's won that many games. Can't do it unless you're in, Civil War era college football. I'm not sure. Uh, I kind of talked about the college football playoff expansion implications that we have here, but I guess since it's on here, I'll touch on it again. What I'm saying is Indiana needed to win this so we can at least delay the inevitable. It's probably inevitable that it's going to expand. But if Miami wins, I'm saying it probably happens sooner because now there's proof that a very high seed can win it all. So then the people in power, the Big Ten wants 24 teams. I don't even want to get into it. It's going to make me upset. 24 teams. Who is making decisions here? What are we doing? I don't understand why 8 is not perfect. You want to fix the calendar. You have you have to fix the calendar. You have to fix the portal. You have to regulate NIL. And we're going to expand the playoff before we do any of that? What are we doing? After all that? Oh my God. That is so frustrating to hear. That we're going to be, if, oh my God, if we're at 24, I'm going to rage. All right. I have right here Cignetti is the best in the league. Maybe some of my opinions involve recency bias in this episode, but Cignetti is the best coach in college football. Your only other argument can be Kirby Smart. I mean, we're getting to the point where 2022 was 4 years ago. We're getting to that point. I mean, Georgia's good. Kirby Smart has 2 titles. He's the last guy to go back to back. He's top two, and your argument is either top two or top two, not two. In my eyes, I think Cignetti is a miracle worker, and just that alone means he's the best coach because he's a miracle worker. But I mean, Curt Cignetti, like, Kirby Smart inherited a very, very good football program and took it over and got the foundation and the wheels rolling before chaos happened. So he just did a nearly perfect slash really, really good job with Georgia, and they built up to a level, to a sustainable level, and won back-to-back titles with 2 of the best defenses that we'll probably ever see. And Stetson Bennett, a fantastic story in itself. But Curt Cignetti did the impossible. This is not possible what Curt Cignetti did. So he's got to be the best, right? They went from 3-9 to 16-0 national champions in 2 years. Now I'll give you this. In 3 years or whatever, if he hasn't won another one, then Kirby biting at the heels or nipping at the heels or biting the butt or nipping at the bud can creep back up to 1. I'm just saying Curt Cignetti winning this national title is in my number 1 college football coach spot. Okay? That's all I'm saying. All right, last thing I got here, some aftermath after this. I'm gonna vouch for a Miami Hurricane right now. Some thought they may never see it, but I'm gonna do it. Mark Fletcher on video throws a punch at an Indiana guy after the game. And everyone's enraged. They're like, oh, Miami football culture is terrible. Oh, South Florida, these guys are thugs. Like, what are we doing? Throwing punches. No respect. But like 10 minutes before, he was talking to Fernando Mendoza, fellow Miami boy, saying, you deserve it. Awesome game. Shaking hands, hugging, smile on his face, being very, being a good person. And Mark Fletcher's father passed away recently. So to go from what this respectful interaction with Mendoza to throwing a punch at a guy that's talking to you begs the question, the guy that was talking to you, what was he saying? Probably a comment that shouldn't be said. I don't know what warrants a punch, but a comment like that in the heat of battle might warrant a punch. That's all I'm saying. So, Mark Fletcher, no sweat. You're definitely not listening to this, but you're good, man. And we're good here too. That's going to be our episode. This is our Actually, I think we're going to do another episode this week. We are flipping the script to basketball. Next episode, a basketball primer. If you even care, we're going to get you off of football and give you everything you need to know about what has happened this basketball season and maybe make some March Madness predictions. How about that? But thank you for watching. We are ending the college football year here. Actually, maybe we'll do some NFL too. Even though this is a college sports channel, we still got NFL. But if you're watching this much, I appreciate you. Thank you to Miami and Indiana for being awesome. An awesome, awesome, awesome national championship. Lots of people on the socials watching Indiana Miami stuff. That's good for us. That's great for us. Thank you to you guys for watching. It helps me a ton. Helps us a ton. Like it, subscribe it, do whatever you want. Another episode of Have Good Sporting in the books. Thank you for watching. Love you. Bye.